Hello, my name is Erin Sewell, and I did my project on the effects that food insecurity has on child development. And I looked at this in 3 different discipline areas. I got the discipline areas from our Roger Williams core curriculum. So I focused on a psychological aspect, the scientific aspect, and the ethical aspect of food insecurity and the effects it has on child development. And so now I will share my presentation. Share. Okay. So this was the beginning of my presentation. I started by explaining the 3 different cores that I was going to be talking about the subject in. I gave a background on food insecurity just in case a lot of people don't know what food insecurity is. And it is a lot more than just hunger and people starving. It's that not knowing where or when your next meal is going to come every single day. So here's the scientific aspect. I looked at 4 different articles actually. I looked at the science behind the effects it has. I looked at food insecurity and diet quality and the untreated cavities it might be correlated to. However, it was founded that food insecurity and diet quality were correlated. However, untreated cavities had nothing to do with them. I looked at I looked at a 15-minute guide to identify and address food insecurity from the United Kingdom. It was not from the United States. For the psychological aspect, I looked at the transition and how it affects children's social skills in a school setting, specifically an elementary school setting. Each skill was weighed differently depending on how it was affected by food insecurity and rather than how it was affected overall. It was founded that females have a higher rate of food insecurity. However, experiencing an early transition, so experiencing that transition from food insecure to secure, is more common in males. So then I looked at the impact that food insecurity has on low-income mothers specifically being single. And this was just a little graph that I used to show how exactly it shows that married with children, you can see that the light blue is very low food security and it's pretty slim, but then it jumps when it goes to single mothers, and then it back down, single fathers, multi-adult, woman alone, again, it's pretty high. So you can just see that single mothers and woman alone are both pretty high, and probably the highest when looking at those categories. Yeah, and so then I looked at the ethical perspective. And so the ethical perspective, I focused on a lot of like woman-based and feminist-based ideas, if that makes sense, because food, historically speaking, was more I guess focused and more appropriate for men. They were the only ones who got a say in a lot of things. And so women, this article wanted to emphasize the strong relationship that a woman has with food, being the root of all family meals typically. Women also know how important it is to feed their children and let them have that access to food. And food insecurity does deny them this right. And then the other ethical article that I looked at focused on pregnancy and malnutrition women. And so it said children and women are most at risk for experiencing food insecurity, which just proves again that they need to be the ones focusing on it rather than, again, men. And it says it's dangerous for pregnant women. 17 million children are born into underweight due to their mother experiencing malnutrition. So this just shows that they're born into this food insecure life rather than even giving them a chance. And then I went through and synthesized and tied them all together. And I found that obviously the scientific and the psychological, they intertwine a lot. And then the philosophical, there's obviously some science on how we got here as a whole and why we got here as a whole. So again, that ties in with the psychological aspect as well as the scientific aspect. And so in conclusion, food insecurity and the effects it has on children are detrimental to their well-being. And I learned that within the scientific aspect, the psychological aspect, and ethically. Thank you.